ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। मनो हि द्विविधं प्रोक्तं शुद्धं चाशुद्धमेव च अशुद्धं कामसङ्कल्पं शुद्धं कामविवर्जितम् मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बन्धमोक्षयोः बन्धाय विषयासक्तं मुक्तं निर्विषयं स्मृतम् यतो निर्विषयस्यास्य मनसो मुक्तिरिष्यते अतो निर्विषयं नित्यं मनः कार्यं मुमुक्षुणा निरस्तविषयासङ्गं सन्निरुद्धं मनोहृदि यदा यात्यात्मनो भावं तदा तत्परमं पदम् तावदेव निरोधव्यं यावद् हृदि गतं क्षयम् एतज्ज्ञानं च ध्यानं च शेषो न्यायश्च विस्तरः नैव चिन्त्यं न चाचिन्त्यं न चिन्त्यं चिन्त्यमेव तत् पक्षपातविनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा स्वरेण सन्धयेत् योगम् अस्वरं भावयेत् परम् अस्वरेणानुभावेन भावो वा भावयिष्यते तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनं तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते ध्रुवम् निर्विकल्पमनन्तं च हेतुदृष्टान्तवर्जितम् अप्रमेयमनादिं च यज्ञात्वा मुच्यते बुधः न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यो जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रयव्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते एक एव हि भूतात्मा भूते भूते व्यवस्थितः एकधा बहुधा चैव दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत् घटसंवृतमाकाशं नीयमाने घटे यथा घटो नीयेतनाकाशः तथा जीवो नभोपमः घटवत् विविधाकारं भिद्यमानं पुनः पुनः तद्भग्नं न च जानाति स जानाति च नित्यशः शब्दमायावृतो नैव तमसा याति पुष्करे भिन्ने तमसि चैकत्वं एक एवानुपश्यति शब्दाक्षरं परं ब्रह्म तस्मिन् क्षीणे यदक्षरम् तद्विद्वानक्षरं ध्यायेत् यदिच्छेच्छान्तिमात्मनः द्वे विद्ये वेदितव्ये तु शब्दब्रह्म परं च यत् शब्दब्रह्मणि निष्णान्तः परं ब्रह्माधिगच्छति ग्रन्थमभ्यस्य मेधावी ज्ञानविज्ञानतत्परः पलालमिव धान्यार्थी त्यजेत् ग्रन्थमशेषतः गवामनेकवर्णानां क्षीरस्याप्येकवर्णता क्षीरवत् पश्यते ज्ञानं लिङ्गिनस्तु गवां यथा घृतमिव पयसि निगूढं भूते भूते वसति विज्ञानं सततमन्थयितव्यं मनसा मन्थानुभूतेन ज्ञाननेत्रं समादाय उद्धरेत् वह्निवत्परं निष्कलं निश्चलं शान्तं तद्ब्रह्माहमिति स्मृतम् सर्वभूताधिवासं यत् भूतेषु च वसत्यपि सर्वानुग्राहकत्वेन तदस्म्यहं वासुदेवः तदस्म्यहं वासुदेव इति।
Hari Om. I am going to sing this song, Hey Guru, in Sanskrit. Tvam hino neta, tvam hino data, yatra tvam nayasi, tatra gacchamaha. Kapi no chinta, vapi no bhayam, yadashraye tava वर्तामहे सदा रक्षकस्त्वं हीन संकटे क्वापि शिक्षकस्त्वं हीन शोभने पदी तेहि न शक्तिं बुद्धिं तथा भक्तिं दर्शिते मार्गे चलनाय नित्यं हीन यदि त्वां न विस्मरनः बालकास्तव हे करुणाकर प्रभो हे प्रभो हे विभो हे गुरो हे प्रभो हे विभो हे गुरो हे गुरो।
Summary of Discourse 6. The sixth mantra posed a number of contradictions. The self is not to be thought of, but neither is it unthinkable. It is not to be thought of, however, it alone is to be thought of. How does the mind think? It becomes the subject and observes the object as something other than itself. The observed may be an object, an emotion, or an idea. I identify with the mind as the subject. But the self is not an observable object separate from me. It is the infinite source of the mind itself. The Kena Upanishad says, the self is that which cannot be felt to the mind, but because of which the mind feels. It is that which cannot be seen by the eye, but by which the eyes are able to see. So the self is not to be thought of as an object. It is the ultimate subject. However, one should think of the self. How? Not as an object, but as the truth that illumines both the subject and object. The truth can be grasped only by the mind. Only the mind is capable of discriminative thought. The self, the truth, has to be understood by the mind as the ultimate subject, the real I. When we learn this from a guru or a master, then we realize it. The self is not to be thought of as a tangible concept. All concepts impose limits, but the self is beyond all limits. But the Upanishads give so many indicators of the self. The Upanishads give indicators of the self in order to negate them and deny all preconceptions of the self. Why is this negation necessary? Because from concepts we create stereotypes that are limited and finite. But God is beyond all limits and stereotypes. That is why the infinite can be explained only through the language of contradiction. Without becoming a thinker, I must think of that which cannot be thought of, says Sri Samartha Ramdas. Preparation, Shravanam and Mananam with a teacher are most important. There cannot be doubt or misgivings in Niridhyasanam. These must be resolved in Mananam. Then drop all attachments and free your mind. Restrain that pure mind in the thought, I am that consciousness. Infinity is our nature. I can realize it right here and now. Mantra number 7. This teaching is meant for the Uttama Adhikari, the seeker with the highest qualification. Now the Upanishad introduces Omkar Upasana as the method of contemplation for the less qualified seekers. Why Om? The syllables A, U and Ma that form Om are the indicators of the self that is present in the waking state, dream state and deep sleep state. It is the primordial sound energy, the vibration from which creation ensued. It is the shortest syllable that indicates the self-effulgent infinite. The 3 syllables are the foundation of all language and expression. We begin by meditating on the Om sound. Then we turn our awareness to the silence between the Om sounds. The Om gradually diminishes. The mind gets absorbed in the silence. When the mind dissolves in the silence, that is the supreme that is there before the Om. We begin our sadhana with the idea that the world is real, God is not real. We then grow to the idea that the world is and God is. God is finite sentience. We then rise to the level that the world is illusory, only God is real. Finally, we know that God alone is. The world is only an appearance on the infinite.
Hari Om Swamiji. Om. Om. सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति शांति शांति। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Respectful pranams to Swamiji. Namaskars to all the other sadhakas who have logged in, who are present today to listen to this talk, Swamiji's talk on Amrita Bindu Upanishad. The Sampurna Yajamans for the whole program are Sri Chittur Manohar, Srimati Jolly Silvipat, Srimati Nirja Birla, Srimati Radha Kini. The Sampurna Upayajmans for the program are Srimati Chitra Vora, Srimati Kalpana Morparia, Sri Kishore Mallapur, Srimati Kumud Jnanendra Mishra, Srimati Preeti Saxena, Srimati Sumitra Patel. The Dainik Yajmans for today's discourse are today's Jnana Yajna, Srimati Sanjana Kirpalani, Srimati Saraswati Narayanan, Srimati Shachi Narula. I will now request Swamiji to commence the teaching for today.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Estuštuvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahi Tanyadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So we just saw the summary of the last few verses that we covered. The 7th verse said, Svarena Sandhayet Yogam. With the help of Omkar, make the mind quiet, integrate the whole personality, unite with the higher. Aswaram Bhavayet Param. So the chanting of Om, when we do, we focus on the sound, quieten the mind through that, and Aswaram Bhavayet Param. And then slowly we shift our attention to that complete silence between the two Oms. And the mind actually gets absorbed in that. So the mind is not experiencing peace, mind is lost in peace. That peace is supreme. That is what we have to experience, that is our true nature. beyond mind. Aswaram bhavayet param. Asvarenanubhavena, when this happens, bhavo va abhava ishyate. The existence becomes non-existence, non-existence becomes existence. The world which we thought was so real completely disappears, and the reality which we thought was absent becomes evident as our true nature. So before we proceed, we will spend a few minutes in this sadhana, Omkar sadhana. So after a few steps to quieten our mind, to integrate the body, breath and the mind, we will play the chanting of Om. You are welcome to chant loudly along with that if you like. Initially, pay attention to the chanting and remember U and Ma. So when Om is being chanted, it indicates the waking, dream, deep sleep, the individuality. But the substratum of that is the silence. That silence is there before Om, silence is there during Om, silence is there after Om. So while Om chanting is happening, first half of the Om chanting, let us say 2 to 2.5 minutes, focus on the chanting of Om. Don't bring any other thought in the mind. And next 2.5 minutes, try to focus on the silence. And observe the silence is there at all times. Sound rises, stays, merges into it. Same way, consciousness is our true nature. Waking, dream, deep sleep, they rise, they stay, they merge into that. So let us do that. Please sit erect. The head, the neck, and the spine in a straight line. Close your eyes gently. Relax the shoulders. Come to a comfortable posture without any strain in any part of the body. Be aware of your body from the head to the toes. As though you are watching your own body. Just like you move around in a place where there's an idol and you observe the idol. Same way as though you have come out of the body and you are observing that the body is sitting right now. You are observing the front, the sides, the back. This body is a tool, the most beautiful tool to realize the self. Let us relax the body. Feel as if you have come back into the body. As I say inhale, take a deep breath and feel that your whole body is flooded with light, As I say relax, exhale, and let go of the light through your fingers and the toes. Let go of any stress or strain as the light goes out of your body. Exhale all the air. Inhale. Relax. Inhale. Relax. Inhale. Relax. Inhale. Relax. Continue at your own pace. Slow, steady, and deep inhalation. Slow, steady, complete exhalation. Simple deep breathing relaxes the body, makes the mind quiet, and ready for contemplation. Now we will invoke the Supreme Lord as Omkar. Omkar is the sound symbol of the Supreme, rather the sound manifestation of the Supreme. It is not merely some inert sound, it is Shabda Brahma. It is Ekaksharam Brahma. It represents pure consciousness. In the space between the two eyebrows or in your heart, Visualize the form of Omkar if you require it. Looks like a 3 along with a hook and a dot on the sides. Invoke this auspicious form. And as we chant Omkar, feel that you are in front of Omkar Bhagwan. And may this chanting make our mind quiet. Finally, may it lead us to realize our oneness with Omkar. Continue mentally. U and Ma are the waker, dreamer, the deep sleeper. They also represent the entire creation, which is nothing but sound. And these sounds appear from silence, which is the Amatra Om, the gap between the two chantings. That represents the transcendental consciousness. I am that one pure consciousness beyond all sounds, and I alone appear as all the sounds, all the beings, everything in this universe. I am not this finite individuality. I am the very source of this individuality, the self. The whole world also then is understood as an appearance of the self. And that is the purpose of all Vedanta. May the grace of Bhagavan, Omkar, lead us to this state of pure consciousness, infinite self, absolute silence. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of the body. Be aware of the happenings around you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Gently rub your palms, place them on the face and open your eyes. So this was a short session, but one can continue this in one's daily sadhana. Now, what was said in the seventh mantra, Aswaram Bhavayet Param. So what is the nature of that silence? It is not a blank, it is infinite consciousness. So the pointers of that pure consciousness are given in the next mantra. Tadeva Nishkalam Brahma Nirvikalpam Niranjanam Tad Brahma Hamiti Jnatva Brahma Sampadyate Dhruvam. Tad eva, that alone. What that? That which was indicated in the earlier mantra as Param, as infinite, supreme. That alone is Brahman. Tadeva Brahma. What are the pointers of that Brahman? So Brahman means that which is the biggest. Brihatvat Brahma, which is infinite. So what is infinite? Is that which is beyond space, time, objects. Desha, Kala, Vastu, Aparichinna. Not limited by space. Things are limited by space. They are here. So if something is here, it is not there. Limited in size, limited in space. Brahman is not like that. We are doing 8th mantra. 7th mantra we have completed. That is what we just did, the contemplation on, the sadhana on. So Tadeva Brahma, that Brahman which is beyond time, space, object, space-wise, that which is everywhere. I mean, we are saying space-wise it is everywhere, but it is that which is beyond space also. When space also does not exist, it remains. That is Brahman. But since we are in the relative plane at the reality level of the world, in the world, we know things only through space, time and object. So we say that which is beyond space, time and object is Brahman. What is now is not there yesterday, will not be there tomorrow. Brahman is that which is there at all times. So it is beyond time, beyond space, and beyond objects. So objects have finite properties, qualities. Each object's qualities are different from the other, so each one excludes the other. But that which is common in everything is that existence, that itself is consciousness. And so it is same in all objects, all beings also. That is Brahman. So Tadeva Brahma, that state of infinite consciousness. How to realize that state? It was said Bhavayet Param, understand that silence to be the absolute. Sometimes one needs pointers. See, that earlier mantra by itself is enough to realize the self. But sometimes different seekers are there, different temperaments are there. So Upanishad gives different methods also. So here are some pointers which will help us to negate what Brahman is not. And what remains is Brahman. So Nishkalam, that which does not have any parts. Because anything which is finite can have parts. Brahman is not finite. So that which has no parts, Nishkalam. Nirvikalpam, that which has no thoughts. Thoughts, they arise in Brahman, stay, merge, but Brahman is not affected by those thoughts. Brahman can remain without thoughts also. Thoughts cannot remain without consciousness. We saw earlier the equation thought is equal to object plus consciousness. So consciousness does not depend on thought. Our true nature is that we don't depend on thought. Please remember, all this is our true self. Don't think some Brahman is partless. I am partless. What the pointer is indicating is I am that infinite consciousness which has no parts. Right now I'm identified with this finite body. So I think I have parts. And the head and the neck and the body and the legs and the hands and all those parts are my parts, or they are me. But they are actually assemblage of matter. They are not me. That's what Vedanta tells us. We are Nishkalam Brahma. We are partless absolute Brahman. Even as mind, we don't have parts. Think about that. Gross body has parts. Mind does not have parts. Physical parts, we mean. So, Nishkalam Brahma. But the mind has thoughts, and each thought excludes the other. So it is subtler. Here it says, mind, you are not even that. Nishkalam Brahma, Nirvikalpam Brahma. Beyond thought. We can remain without thoughts. In deep sleep state, in the state of complete absorption, in the samadhi avastha. We exist but no thoughts. Today we define ourselves only through thoughts. A happy thought, we feel I am happy. Sad thought, we feel I am sad. Now one Mahatma Ji, he said, if a donkey comes here, will you sit on that? Then why do you jump on every thought that arises in your mind? 60,000 thoughts minimum they come. 60,000 donkeys on those donkeys I'm jumping. And then I'm wanting peace of mind. How is it possible? Stop identifying pieces then and there. So Nishkalam Brahma, Nirvikalpam Brahma, negative thought, positive thought, I have nothing to do with the thought. Oh, Swamiji, very good, I have nothing to do, then no need to do sadhana. Till identification with thought is there, I have to do sadhana. If no identification with thought is there, sadhana is over. No identification. So, Nishkalam Brahma, Nirvikalpam Brahma, then Niranjanam, beyond any taint. This indicates the ignorance and vasanas. Brahman is beyond ignorance. It is of the nature of knowledge. As our true nature as consciousness, we know the particular knowledge which the mind has. We also know what we don't know. So Brahman is that which is beyond the knowledge arising in the mind and intellect, or the ignorance which is there in the mind or intellect. Buddhi has ignorance of the self. The knowledge arises in the buddhi to destroy that ignorance. Brahman is not affected by anything, neither ignorance nor knowledge, because it is jnana swarup. So Niranjanam, it is beyond vasanas also. Vasanas are impressions created in the causal body because of our own actions, intentions, etc., doership. All that creates vasana. Brahman is a consciousness enlivening all that. So we think of ourselves as the body, mind, intellect. Vedanta says you are not the body. Nishkalam means beyond gross body. Nirvikalpam means beyond subtle body. Niranjanam means beyond causal body. These are, please remember, mantras to contemplate. These are not theoretical verses. The knowledge that they convey, we intellectually understand, then we have to contemplate that I am that Brahman which is beyond body. So the body is height, weight, sickness, health, age, skin color, makes no difference. How much we define ourselves through all this? How do I look and how I should present myself and what is the... It has only functional relevance. Beyond that, it has no other relevance. It cannot define me. How much body shaming happens and how much self-consciousness is there, how much exploitation is there, all based on the body. And finally, what is the body? Assemblage of 5 elements which are dead and inert by themselves. So why am I considering myself as a bundle of food and 5 elements? Before the body was born, was I not existing? After the body drops, am I not going to exist? How can I be this body? So that is the contemplation one has to do. I am not this body. This, what I said right now, is logic that we have to use in reflection. In contemplation, one lifts oneself to say that I am the witness in this body. I am not this body. I am the kshetrajna, the witness. I am not this kshetra. This body is a kshetra. It is a field. It is a tool. So these are mantras for contemplation. Tadeva nishkalam brahma, nirvikalpam. I am beyond thought. Why should I put efforts to become thoughtless? My nature is absolute awareness, which is beyond thought. I may put efforts right now because I'm identified with the thought, so quieten the mind. But finally, drop the attachment to the mind. I am not this mind. That we saw earlier. That is called mukti. Freedom from the mind is mukti. Freedom from identification with the mind is mukti. So I am not this mind. I am not this body. Swamiji, but I am an ignorant jiva, you know. What to do? I am bound. Who is bound? Does sun ever know darkness? Consciousness, will it ever know ignorance? It is of the nature of illumination, jnana swarup. How it will become ignorant? So when we meditate, you know, Ramana Maharshi said the subtlest obstacle to realization is the notion that I am not realized. Realization is not a product of some process. That right now I'm not realized, I apply certain process, then I will become realized. Realization is all the time there, at every moment. It is our true self. It is infinite awareness, consciousness, bliss. Then why is the process required? Because we have, as though, forgotten who we are. Like the waker is always the waker, even while the dream is happening. Temporarily it appears the waker has forgotten oneself, so the waker is doing sadhana to come out of the dream. When that waker comes out of the dream, one realizes I was never the dream character. The entire thing was mithya. So we may do the sadhana, but the sadhana should be done with the awareness that I am already Brahman and I am trying to realize that which is my true nature. I am not trying to become Brahman. Ignorant jiva will never realize Brahman. Brahman alone will realize Brahman. Because ignorant jiva does not exist. That ignorant jiva is actually Brahman identifying with one BMI. If that identification is dropped, that's all is required. Which is what this is, neti neti. That's why Gurudev used to say, you know, no one can realize Narayana. Narayana alone realizes Narayana. And you are that Narayana. Finite jiva does not have separate existence from Brahman. That it now has to realize Brahman and become Brahman. Finite will never become infinite. The infinite includes all the finite. Infinity forgetting itself, identifying with one finite entity is the jiva. What Gurudev used to say in his BMI chart. Om identified with the BMI as though has become the PFT, perceiver, feeler, thinker. Identified with one body, mind, intellect. It is like the sun reflecting in one bucket of water. That reflection as though is trapped within that bucket of water. It is never trapped. And that reflection has no other existence apart from the sun. It is not independent. If there is no sun, there is no reflection. But without reflection, sun exists. Remove that bucket and water, reflection gone, but sun is there. So that is our true self, pure consciousness, which is beyond ignorance, beyond vasana, beyond thought, beyond body. Tadeva Brahma, Nishkalam, Nirvikalpam, Niranjanam. Tad Brahma aham iti jnatva. That Brahman is me. That is what has to be understood. It is very important for this line. Tadeva tad Brahma aham iti jnatva. What Vedanta is telling us, Vedanta is not required to tell us that I am, because that I know I am. Who is that I has to be known. That is Vedanta telling us. Vedanta is telling us you are not this limited, you are that infinite Brahman. Tad Brahma aham. I am not this finite one small little entity, I am that infinite consciousness. To know that I am that infinite consciousness, valid means of knowledge is Vedanta. Tad Brahma aham iti jnatva. And this jnatva is not intellectual knowing, it is intuitive realization. And which is why the preparation, the sadhanas, all that is required. And when that happens, the experience is called immediate, aparoksha anubhuti. Jnatva here means not intellectual knowing, but immediate knowing. Immediate here does not mean instant. Immediate here means without a medium. To know oneself as one is, without medium. Today we know only ourselves through the medium. What are those mediums? First line it says, body, mind, and causal body. So gross body, subtle body, causal body. I know only through that. I am tall, I am dark, I am young, I am old, I am handsome, I am beautiful, I am black, I am white, I am brown. Body. I am happy, I am sad, I am angry, I am loving, I am compassionate, I am forgiving. Mind. I am successful, I am a failure, I am a capitalist, I am a Democrat, I am an atheist, I am a believer, non-believer. Intellect. I am impure, I am sinner, I am pure person, I am ignorant, I am knowledgeable. This is causal body. Unmanifest though, that manifests as thoughts in the mind, in subtle body. But I identify myself only through gross, causal, subtle body. I don't know who I am without this. To know oneself without any medium, that is called immediate knowledge, which is this. Tad Brahma aham iti jnatva. Then what happens? Brahma sampadyate tada. One realizes Brahman as though one has experienced that state, and one lives as Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? Absolute bliss, param anand. So one lives in blissful state. In the Gita, Bhagavan says, heaviest of sorrows cannot disturb that person. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyati. And having discovered that, there is nothing more to be gained. One lives in fulfillment. Emptiness is gone. The feeling of finitude is gone. The feeling of being bound is gone. The comparison, the jealousies, the selfishness, all that is gone. Because the source is realized. I am that infinite consciousness. What more is there? And one then lives as Brahman. Brahma sampadyate tada. One will not again fall back into the realm of ignorance. So Brahman is blissful, I as Brahman remain blissful in the world. If Brahman is Jnana Swarup, I as the Jnana Swarup remain as the witness, the consciousness which enlivens everything, unaffected by what it enlivens. I as Brahman am Sat, existence. So no attachment to the form, no fear of death. Existence never becomes non-existent. Form becomes manifest and unmanifest, but existence remains as it is. So no fear of death also. That is called Brahma Sampadyate Tada. So through steady contemplation, one drops the false identification, one comes to realize that oneness with the absolute, the true meaning of aham, one realizes I am that pure consciousness, infinite Brahman. And there's nothing greater than that. Brahman, as we said earlier, is the biggest, Brihatvat Brahma. So imagine the state of realization. How glorious is that? In the world, we become so happy when we achieve small things. And the mind feels thrilled, mind feels joy. It has its own relevance, but what is the state of realization? Think about it. It is not a state joy experienced by the mind. It is a joy which is beyond the mind. And no state of mind will ever touch that blissful state, no matter what that mind is going through. That Brahma Sampadyate Tada. So now that is what is said in this mantra number 8. Now, similarly, now on the 8th mantra gave the pointers of Brahman. 9th mantra, one can say, also gives pointers of Brahman. Also, some want to know logic. Some want to know how can you prove Brahman exists logically. So here is one mantra which tells us, and also this can be understood as the result of that steady contemplation is one will experience this state. So now see the mantra 9. Nirvikalpamanantam cha hetu drishtantavarjitam aprameyamanadim cha yajñatva muchyate buddhaha. So human intellect is the subtlest equipment available in this creation. Using this human buddhi, which has such a high level of self-awareness, we are able to do vivek, we are able to know who we are, and we are able to know what the beings and things around us are. And invoking that power of vivek, we are able to discriminate what is real, what is unreal, what is not self, what is self, and so many other types of vivek. And it is using this buddhi alone, all the development has happened in the world outside also, in every field. What is the specific function of this buddhi? Causation hunting is the preoccupation of the intellect. Gurudev used to say that. The intellect wants to know the cause. It works in logic. The difference between mind and intellect is that mind works in the realm of feelings. So in the same subtle body, when it is in the realm of feelings, we call it as the mind, where sometimes there is impulsiveness, there is no logic. One may know logically something, but that emotion is so strong that it just doesn't care about logic. So that is mind. And buddhi is that which applies logic, rationality, and then comes to a balanced decision. So what is logic? Logic is relationship between cause and effect. If there's an effect, I need to know what is the cause, the reasoning. That is the logic. In simple words, I'm defining. I'm not going to technicalities of logic. So we want to know everything through logic, especially today. Many people, they think I am a scientific person, I am a logical person, I am a rational person, I am a thinking person. So prove logic wise, if something is, you can prove something logically, then it is acceptable. Otherwise, I will not accept. Now, what does this mantra say? So we want the proof of truth also. Can you prove God exists logically? Can you prove consciousness is my nature logically? So now see, what does the mantra say here? Nirvikalpam. It is that which has no divisions. So vikalpa means division in this context. Vikalpa also means thought. That's why earlier mantra we saw nirvikalpa means beyond thought. And thought is that which will divide, it excludes. One thought will exclude the other. So if I have apple thought, now that apple thought does not contain all objects. It is exclusive thought. So the thought will divide. So it is used here. Nirvikalpam, that which is beyond all divisions, is Brahman. Meaning beyond, see, vikalpa can be in thought, and vikalpa also is in the body level because it has parts, various parts. And when we see something through direct perception, we see the gross world only through our senses. So nirvikalpam here means that which is not available for direct perception. Brahman is not available for direct perception. It is not an object. Object can be perceived, and each object will divide the other. Divide the other meaning it will exclude the other. So the world is as though divided because of so many objects. But Brahman is not like that. As we saw earlier, it is beyond objects, meaning it is same in all objects. So it is nirvikalpam. So I can see apple, I can see this thermos, I can see this computer, I can see this book, I can see this body. Each of them are objects of perception. But each of them are excluding the other. So each of them are finite. Brahman is that which is common. Existence is there in all. That existence cannot be objectified. Suppose this table, we destroy this table and make a chair. So now the form of the table has changed into a chair. So earlier I was seeing the table, now I see the chair. But the existence in both of them, that remains the same. We cannot say that the existence has changed, because table also is, chair also is. It will never become non-existence, and that existence cannot be objectified. Isness can only be understood intellectually, but it can be experienced as aham, I am. Object's existence can be understood only as our existence. The existence in me is the same existence in the objects. I am, object is, that isness and am is same. And that is why it is not tangible, because existence is infinite. There is no barrier, there is no blocking, there is no excluding. Like the water is everywhere in the ocean. The wave can have a form, but water doesn't have form. Same way, existence is all pervasive, everywhere, no form, formless, absolute. And so it cannot be objectified. And finite thing can be changing, and it can take different forms, and I can perceive that, but I can't perceive existence, which is the substratum of all the finite things. So Brahman or consciousness is beyond direct perception. That's why Gurudev used to say that when people say, show me God, you say God is not an object available that I can put it in a test tube and pass on saying, see God. That very question, that if God is real, show me God, then only I will believe. Otherwise, God is not real to me. That itself is an expression of ignorance. Why? Because the inherent assumption in that is whatever I see alone is real. And the fact is what I see is not necessarily real. Sunrise I see, sunset I see. Is it real? It is not. Waxing and waning of the moon. Is it real? Not. Earth is not moving. I don't see the earth moving, but actually it is moving or not. So direct perception, Brahman is that which is beyond direct perception, nirvikalpam. Anantam, it is infinite. And it is infinite. Why it is said it is infinite? That which is beyond beginning and end, that is called infinite. Time-wise, what we say eternal or infinite is beyond beginning and beyond end. Whatever has a beginning will end. So what is beginning is very interesting. How beginning and logic are connected, you see. Beginning means an effect emerges from the cause. And end means the effect merges into the cause. So if the body, we say, has a beginning, 5 elements are the cause. The body is born from the 5 elements. Through the father and the mother, it is born. And the body has an end. It will die. So when it dies, what will happen? It will again go back to 5 elements. So beginning is from the cause, something is emerging. End is from the effect merges into the cause. Mud, from that the pot rises, pot emerges. That is the beginning of the pot. Then you destroy the pot, that pot which is the effect, mud which is the cause. That effect went back into the cause. Now again pot is not there, mud remains. In between also it was mud only. But that appearance of mud, we call it as pot. It is only expression of speech. Same way, this body is born, this mind is born, intellect is born. Like that we say, what has a beginning will have an end. That which doesn't have an end means it doesn't have a beginning. That's why anantam means that, infinite. Na antam vidyate yasya. That which does not have an end. That which does not have an end means that which does not have a beginning. So beginningless and endless Brahman is. And that's why when someone says that, this world came from God. So if the world is born, world is created from God, who created God? That question only is wrong. Why? Because in that question we are assuming that God is an effect of some other cause. Suppose we say God is created from God's father. Then what will one ask? Who is God's father? Who created God's father? God's grandfather. How it is possible? It will go infinite regress. The ultimate cause is an uncaused cause which has no beginning. Beyond time it is. So before beginning, that which exists, beginningless it is. That which is beginningless, no beginning it has. That way, if you see, Maya also is beginningless. Ignorance is beginningless. But upon the dawn of knowledge, they end. But Brahman is not beginning, is not going to end. Because Brahman is beginningless and endless. That's why the word Anantam is used. So that which is infinite, without beginning, without end, means what? I am that which has no beginning and no end. So one realizes I am that unborn, infinite consciousness, unchanging consciousness, imperishable consciousness. I am that. That is why I am Brahman. Everything which has finite, which is beginning, which it has an end, it will perish. So here it says Nirvikalpam Anantam. So that's the connection. So logic can be used for finite things. Because logic, as we saw, is cause and effect. So finite things emerge from finite things. So then we can say, okay, this is the cause of this, that is the cause of this. This cause becomes the effect, effect becomes cause for the next effect. It goes on. Science is also cause and effect only. Monkeypox has come. Now that monkeypox, what is the cause of that? That particular virus is that. So the detection is you looking at the effect, find out what is the cause and treat the cause and help to eradicate the effect. That is the applicability of cause and effect. Now, can we use logic to prove God? Think about that. Not that God is illogical, but we have to use a valid means of knowledge for anything. So if I want to see an object, I have to use my eyes. Eyes are the valid means of knowledge to see an object. Ears are the valid means of knowledge to hear. Now, if I want to hear music, I cannot hear with my eyes because eyes don't have that capability. If I want to feel emotions, love, happiness, anger, mind is the valid means for that. I cannot feel emotions using my intellect, the buddhi, which is where a lot of problems happen. One person is going through some emotions, the other person is operating from the buddhi and trying to give some reasons and helping that person to come out. This person doesn't want that, doesn't want your solution, want just your presence and just comfort, be there saying I am with you. That's all that person wants. They want you to feel what they are feeling and empathize. That's all they want. Solutions they also know. So for feeling emotions, we need mind. Operate from the mind level. For certain ideas, subtle ideas, creative ideas, innovative thinking, out of the box thinking, we need the buddhi. To take calculated risk, etc., we have to be logical. That time we can't just be impulsive and they take emotional decisions. No. Same way to, appreciate certain things like art, music. We need that intelligence, like what that theory says. Howard Gardner, he says multiple intelligence theory. So musical intelligence, spatial intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, like that, different types of intelligence are there. And not everybody is blessed with all the types of intelligence. So some are challenged in certain things, some are exceptional in certain things. So for each one, there is a medium to be used. What is a medium to be used for God? We can use logic to only give a certain level of understanding, but we cannot prove God with logic. We can say that if there is an entire realm of change, then there has to be a changeless substratum. That changeless substratum is God. Or if there is an effect in this world, if the world is an effect, there has to be a cause. And the world being infinite, the cause also has to be infinite. So God exists. That's all one can do to prove. Logic can be used only as a supportive logic to prove God. It cannot be used as a proving logic. Please remember that. No amount of logic can prove God. They can only supportively indicate, yes, God exists. To prove God, I have to experience God, and that requires this sadhana alone. What we saw earlier, immediate experience. That is the direct means to realize the truth. That's why the Upanishad say this truth cannot be realized through knowledge. Naisha tarkena matirapaneya. Through tarka, through logic, we cannot realize this truth. We can use logic to, as it is the quality of the buddhi, to convince ourselves that yes, I am Brahman intellectually. Now I am very clear, I am Brahman, I am not this body, mind, intellect. Then I have to contemplate steadily using the methods given earlier. Then I will realize the truth. So it is vain to go on arguing, prove God exists, does God really exist, which form of God, does form also exist really. Those stages one has gone through and come up beyond that. Now one is in the realm of sadhana, practice. So here he says that anantam, then hetu drishtanta varjitam. It is beyond hetu, beyond logic. Drishtanta, it is beyond example also, because there is nothing like Brahman. Brahman is one, infinity only is one. You cannot say, show me if there is anything else like this, then only I will believe. You cannot show, because there is only one Brahman. Finite things I can show. Similar things can be shown. But infinite, how can I show another infinite? Then it is not infinite. There is only one Brahman. So beyond example, beyond logic. It is not illogical. Logic is there, but only in a certain level to make us understand. That's it intellectually. But this is beyond the realm of logic. One has to transcend the buddhi to experience this truth. And that's why the guru is required. The guru is required to help the disciple to transcend the buddhi, to make the disciple intuitively realize the truth. And when we listen to the truth from the mouth of a person who has experienced that truth, then only this experience will happen. So hetu drishtanta varjitam, aprameyam, it is immeasurable, anadim. So what we saw earlier, beginningless, endless. So anadi and ananta. Yad jnatva muchyate buddhaha. Knowing this, one is liberated, freed from shackles of ignorance. So more about this we will take up. Little more is there to cover. That we take up in our next class. But today we will stop here. You can read the commentary. This verse is very important to understand. Please read the commentary.
Hari Om Swamiji. Difficult to come down to earth after that, but we'll try. Today's Aarti Yajaman is Srimati Preeti and Srimati Rashmi Vaidyanathan.
आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरति सद्गुरु की चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए पाप ताप संताप हरण की आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरति सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरति सद्गुरु की सिद्ध बाणी की तपो भूमि में नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरति सद्गुरु की आरति सद्गुरु की
बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.
Hari Om Swamiji, pranams to everyone. Swamiji, so in the last birth in a human body, where does our soul go on death of our body?
Doesn't go anywhere. If last birth can be only when there is realization of the self. Realization of the self means one has experienced the infinite reality. If one has experienced infinite reality, all karmas get destroyed. There is no need for a new birth because there is no desire left. There is no individuality left. So there is no question of any rebirth for that jiva. That's why realization is worth striving for. If again one has to come back into this body, there's no point of realizing.
Yeah. Correct. Thank you, Swamiji.
Right. Is memory present because of attachment? Memory is not present because of attachment. Memory can be an expression of attachment. When I'm attached to somebody or something, then I keep remembering, even if that person is not here, I keep remembering, or I keep wanting to, what experiences I had, I keep reliving them. So all memory is not a form of attachment, because there is functional memory also, where we remember basic functional things. We remember, like what all we have learned, so much information we remember, who we are, where we live, who are our near and dear ones, what is my bank balance, what is my degree, so many things we remember. That's functional knowledge. So all memory is not attachment, but specific attachments when we have, then we are trapped in those thought processes only, which take us into the past, and we are not then in touch with the reality. Those are expressions of attachment, where I want to relive something, or it has hurt me, so I'm going back again and again to that. I'm not able to resolve that. Or I'm excited, super excited, I achieved something, and then I keep reliving in that. So those memories are psychological memories which make us, those are the expressions of attachment. Otherwise, memory is there in everyone, even a small child has or not. But not necessary that it's an expression of attachment. Chitta is one part of the antakarana. Man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. Man is the mind, intellect is the buddhi, chitta is the memory. All data we learn is stored in the memory. That's how we are wiser by the day, and we are able to live by that wisdom, not to commit the same mistakes as the past. And so we learn from it, and we are able to make our lives better. All right, so we will stop here. Okay, last question here now.
Hariom Swamiji, if somebody has a dementia or the Alzheimer, like physical instrument that defects, so with that person, those memories are not there of this birth or anything, or last but nothing. But how it carries forwards to the how it happens in the next birth, may probably.
See, the memory, as I said, is a part of the subtle body. Dementia is a part of the gross body.
Gross body, yeah.
So naturally, the gross body is not capable, that memory is not functioning through the gross body. Just like the eye, the organ, if it is defective, then I may lose my sight, or I don't see properly. The capability of seeing is not affected because of that. And going by your logic, then if a person is dead, brain is burnt, then the whole mind should be burnt. That doesn't happen, no? The capabilities are in the subtle body. The subtle body continues to take new bodies.
Yeah, but the experience of that dementia, Alzheimer, whatever experience that goes, is that subtle body gives a memory of that, or it just till then whatever they have alertly they have gathered the memory, that memory will carry forward, or even these experiences will carry forward.
See, experiences don't carry forward. Impressions left by that experiences carry forward.
Experience, I'm saying.
So that impression of that experience depends on the alertness of that individual, and also it depends on the ahankar, the strong sense of identity. When that person loses that strong sense of identity, those experiences also become weak impressions in the mind. They are not very strong impressions.
Right.
And so that person, one will carry forward whatever the subtle body has, the impressions. So sometimes it may have, but it doesn't matter, because there are past karmas also of many other lives which will function and which will manifest for the next birth. And so the subtle body will carry from this body to the next body. It will carry forward whatever it has experienced in this life. Some impressions are very strong, some impressions are moderate, some impressions are very weak. It depends on individual to individual and how they respond to those experiences. And so there is nothing, there is no, just like any other experience, so many experiences we go through. Do we carry all the impressions of all experiences?
Only
No.
the strong ones, right? The strong ones carry
No, we
forward.
carry different experiences, impressions, but the strong ones create maximum impact, and then they create whatever desire or fear or excitement, or those responses come in the future. The weak ones, they will be there and they will pass away. They will not necessarily manifest as some desire or some expression, not necessary. They will just pass away. Sometimes in dream, sometimes in waking state, just a random passing thought, it will just go away. Sometimes we see people in the waking state also who are young people, suddenly they seem to forget something. Because those impressions are there, they are manifesting, they'll go away.
Okay, thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Why have we forgotten our essential nature? That is called Maya. The fact is, we have not forgotten truly, because our nature is infinite consciousness. But right now, identified with the body, it appears we have forgotten. Identified with the dream character, it appears that the waker has forgotten who he is or who she is. But when the dream character wakes up and realizes, I was always the waker, when did I ever become that character? That was an illusion. How did the illusion happen? Because of the dreaming power. So the waker, because of the dreaming power, apparently forgot himself as the waker, projected the whole dream world, became the dream character. But it is all apparent, it is not real. That's why one says, why did we forget? Because of the power of Maya. That is why it is called self-forgetfulness. We have forgotten ourselves by ourselves because of our own power of Maya. And when we choose to wake up, we can wake up. Like any dream character wakes up. Then one will realize that, I was always the waker. If I'm interested in the dream world, attached to the dream world, I don't want to wake up. That's why dispassion, vivek, all that is important. Then one will wake up. Then one will realize, I never forgot. I was always consciousness. Forgetfulness is a quality of mind. Ignorance is in the buddhi. I am never the mind, never the buddhi. None of the equipment exists in me. Then where the question of forgetting and recollecting, none of that happens. So from this relative standpoint, we say it is because of Maya, Ishvara, Brahman using the power of Maya becomes Ishvara, projects this whole world as though has forgotten oneself and has identified with one character and become the Jiva. So various methods of sadhana are to surrender to that Ishvara, or to discriminate between real and unreal, or to serve with this attitude of dedication to overcome this, to wake up. Then one realizes, I am that infinite, I never became all this. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Oh, there is one more question which has just come. Okay, so I will take this is the last one. After this, I will not take. You can ask in the next class. How to reduce the yearning for re-experiencing the impression from this lifetime of Sparsha Vasana. See, Sparsha Vasana, if one wants to overcome, One has to do Pratipaksha Bhavana only. One has to see the reality and the painful side of it. Somebody touches me, or I want to touch something because I feel it is a source of enjoyment, etc. That is because of delusion. What it is, I have to see very clearly. It is a bundle of 5 elements, whatever it may be, any object it may be. It is a bundle of 5 elements. This body also is a bundle of 5 elements. 5 elements touching 5 elements. What? Where is what is so unique about it? Nothing. Now I'm, let us say, touching this pen. Will that create any desire in my mind? Do I want to re-experience this? No, because this is a regular functional touch. And I don't think pen is a great source of enjoyment to me. But when I touch something else, then I am deriving enjoyment out of that. It is not in that by itself. It is in my head. Some physical gratification, some emotional satisfaction that, somebody is comforting me or I am comforting somebody and I feel happy about it. So Sparshavasana goes when I understand that why am I giving extra importance to anything? If I want to master Sparshavasana, then I have to overcome this delusion in my mind where I think happiness is coming by touching that object physically, or that object touching me physically, or that person touching me, or me touching that person physically. That is a delusion actually. It's only brain. If I touch this, the signals that the finger is sending to the brain, there is nothing exciting or arousing or provoking or anything in that, because it's just a simple ordinary touch, functional touch this is. But that becomes psychological because of so much of conditioning. That is called delusion. So if somebody I touch, it appears to me that, oh, such a soft skin. What is that skin? It is cells, epithelial cells which are there. It has some color. It is in a particular shape right now, so you like touching it. Imagine that same skin after it has wrinkles, it has all kinds of, let us say, it has degenerated. Will I like to touch it? I don't want to touch it. Why? Because the conditioning is that skin in a particular way, in the particular color, in this particular condition is so smooth, so nice, so amazing, so wonderful. I derive pleasure out of it. That's a delusion in the head. That's why Pratipaksha Bhavana has to be done. When Shankaracharya says that etan mamsava sadhi vikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam, again and again think about this, that it is only a modification of flesh, 5 elements, dead, inert. If I touch a table, if I touch a pen, if I touch a book, nothing exciting happens. Why? Because I have not given that value to it. It is only 5 elements. How I give value to it and how I utilize it determines how I derive pleasure out of it. By itself, it is not there in that. So the more and more I do Pratipaksha Bhavana, it will go. 1 point. Point 2, I yearn for it because I have not experienced a subtler joy. So I want the grosser joy at the physical level. Sadhana, if I do, I experience the joy of sadhana. That joy is much more subtler, deeper, independent, and which will liberate me. This Sparshavasana will bind. As you have written, it will make me crave for it again, because this finite object finally, or a finite person. How long can I touch that person or that person touch me or the object I be in touch with? It is limited. And because it is limited, it gives a limited craving, limited enjoyment. So the mind yearns for it more and more and more. But bhakti, if I develop, Niswartha Bhavana, if I develop, that joy is so much more deeper that I don't crave for the physical joy alone after that. And third and very important is that we have to control the senses, what input goes in the senses. If I don't control the input of the senses, this will not work. If I continuously see things and encourage the thought that touch is a source of happiness, then it will create those desires in the mind. Even my knowledge that it is finally only 5 elements, and 5 elements by themselves are jada vastu, that same body or that same object, when it was in a particular state, I was so happy with. When it dies or when it changes its state, I don't want it. Why? What happened? The body is same, but I don't want pleasure out of it. Why? Because the value in the mind changed. No more I am seeing it as an object of pleasure. I am suddenly seeing it as dead body. So that sense input has to be very clear to me. If I keep seeing things which are going to induce these delusions in my mind, then the intellectual knowledge will not come to my rescue. The mind will keep craving for more and more that particular sense experience. And that's why the sense control, and then the emotional anchoring in the higher, and then the pratipaksha bhavana, all the three are important. And the last and the most important one, if I do these three, I can do the last one. And that is to contemplate that I am beyond the body. What we saw today, no? Tadeva Nishkalam Brahma. That Nishkalam Brahma, partless body, partless truth, beyond the gross body, I am that infinite truth. Because this gross body is the cause of all these sensory cravings. Jiva itself doesn't have a gender. Please remember. Mind itself doesn't have any gender. Atma is so anyway beyond gender. I am that Atma. Who has the gender? Gender is only with this body. As long as I am identified with the body, there will be craving at the sense level, whether it is Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, whichever it is. In that, Sparsha becomes very powerful. So, because the mind has identified fully with the body, and then one feels the touch of somebody for something is required. So if I contemplate more and more on the genderless Atma, then this Sparsha Vasana can be overcome. All right. Thank you very much. Hari Om.